Hi teachers. So super excited that you are on to the VIP Kid trip venture of a lifetime. Dino, I got him in China. I'm super excited that you're going. This is kind of a dry and boring video. It's about visa applications, but I have answered a lot of questions that you might have once you go through the process. It is very important very early on to decide whether or not you want a visa service that you need to pay extra for, or you want to try to do it on your own. I would recommend a service because of some of the questions that you have with the application could be a little and the last thing I want to do is call the Chinese embassy. I would rather call a service and they understand it, or they let me know, hey, I don't think you meant this, I think you meant that. So it's a long, boring video, but it will help you and you can stop in between. I have given you all of the information that you need. I have also kind of talked about some pitfalls about being self-employed, or how you want to check that box with who your employer is. And it's important to know that there are two forms. So here we go. This is going to be your first step. Again, I'm on the China Visa Service Center, which is mychinavisa.com. And you're just going to want to go up to wherever it says tourist visa. Obviously, this is going to look different for you if you've used a different company. You can use these documents. If you choose to do the visa by yourself without a service, you'll still be able to use the same documents. And actually, it has a lot of good information about this. So I'm going to click on the application and notice that it says there are two versions of the application form. So please make sure that you select the correct one based on your state of residency. This is one of the mistakes that you can do if you try to fill out the application yourself. So this website is actually quite good because it gives you both. We're going to go through both, but for the first step, we're going to go through all other states. So we're going to actually download version 2. You must not handwrite it at all. It is not accepted. It must be typed. And if you want your service to type it, then of course it's going to charge. But it comes in this beautiful PDF that is writable. So the first step is part 1, last name, middle name, and first name. And notice that if, for example, you do not have a middle name, then you need to put something in that box before it will submit and actually save. So you can put an NA, and it says that right here. If some of the items do not apply, please type NA or non. So some of it is actually pretty self-explanatory. Name in Chinese, NA, male, date of birth. Recognize that it has the year first, the full year, and then the month and date. Current nationality, you can say U.S. citizen or American. Former nationality, if you've ever had another passport or you were born somewhere else, or you are a dual citizen. Place of birth, they want the city, the state, and the country. The province, unless you're from Canada or you actually are from places who have that type of designation. Local and citizen ID, I actually called the service, and this is an NA. So if you see this on your application, for my application, I was told to put NA. This is a citizenship number of maybe somebody who was Chinese and now has given up their Chinese passport for an American passport. Go on down, there is a passport travel document type. I am considered ordinary. And then you are going to need your passport because you're going to need the number, the date of issue, again, the year first, place of issue. This means America or your city that you got the passport for. In Canada, I think maybe there's a certain city that you sent it off to in order to get it. I think I just put America or USA. And then obviously the important one, date of expiry. So then we go down to 1.15, which is my current occupation. This one can be tricky for you. For me, I am a complete independent contractor. Most people have this as a side gig, or they are also a teacher in their other field. And so this one gets tricky. I put self-employed because indeed I am self-employed. This then triggered a warning from my visa service, and they contacted me and said that I needed to be a little bit more specific. They sent in a certain piece of paper that I needed to fill out because I was self-employed. My education level, if you are high school only, which I don't think any VIP Kid teacher can be, you would click other. It could also be that you are coming with minors, and this is where you would click other and then say middle school, elementary, high school. Employer, if you've chosen to take the self-employed route, then you put your name down and your address and your phone number and your zip code. If you have chosen to take the, well, I'm a teacher, but my full-time job and where I get paid is at this high school that I work at, then you would have put above company employee, and then you would have put your boss or the school district and the address, the phone number, and the zip code. So that is one of the trickiest places. So let's go to 122, marital status. If you are indeed divorced, then you are an other, and so that, or widowed, and that is where you need to be. It will get tricky, especially if you have a hyphenated name or you're divorced recently, your passport's in a different name. This is why I would recommend a service, because they will tell you exactly. Or for example, you are bringing minors, but those minors do not have the same last name as your name. So that is a big concern as well. 1.23, this is important because they want to see if, in case of an emergency or some sort of relationship on the visa. So I called my service and I said, how many people do I need to put on there? They said 1, and so I put it on there. I put a relative, their nationality, their occupation, and my relationship to them. Emergency contact is somebody that isn't going to be with you because if something were to happen, like a natural disaster or an earthquake or something happens, they want to be able to contact someone that is outside of the country. So this should be somebody who is not in China with you. Important to remember as well is that the mobile phone number, make sure you have the +01, and then you can put your phone number. Whoops. Okay? Because they're going to look at this if they clearly know what the country codes are, but it is just best for you to put in the country code, which for America is +01, and I don't know the one for Canada, but I will put it up on the screen. Then let's see, 1.25, it says country or territory. It's already filled in. You do not have to do anything. Remember up here in these that you are going to want to put NA, 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 okay? Travel information. So you are considered tourism. So we are not on an official visit, and this technically is not a business trip. If it was considered a business trip and you said something to someone about it being a business trip and you are on a tourist visa, you could potentially get expelled from the country because you need to be on a business visa. So you want to make sure tourism. Going down further, intended number of entries. So I wanted to call the company, and this is one that is really tricky because intended number of entries, we are only intending to enter once and it be valid for 3 months from the date of issue, because we are entering the country to go through Beijing and then we are leaving from Shanghai. But I really wanted a 10-year visa. So I called and she said they will make that determination later on, and to just click the one entry valid for 3 months. Now, this may be different if you are coming from Hong Kong or if you are coming from another city. For example, you are flying from Toronto to Beijing, and then you are going to be there early. You fly from Beijing to Hong Kong, and then you go back into Beijing. That is actually considered a 2 entry. So it is dependent on your particular information and how you're going to be flying. Are you applying for the express service? You should not have to apply for the express service. It's extra money, and it would only be if you needed to have it done within a couple of days. Expected days of the first entry into China, this is going to be on your invitation letter, and then your itinerary. This is the hotels and the addresses, and the dates that you will be there, the amount of time and days that you are going to be there. And it is okay to have like 10 to 11 days, because sometimes depending on when you're flying in, it will be midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. And is that considered a day or 2? Who knows? There is a little bit of a wiggle room there. So you have to have your invite letter with you while you fill out this information. Who will pay for your travel and expenses during your trip in China? It's very important that you say myself. Your information of visitors. This information is the highlights travel companies. So you will get this off of the invitation letter. And then it says relationship with the applicant. This is tour guide, travel company. Really, it's up to you what you want to say there. Have you ever been granted a Chinese visa? Yes. If it's yes, then you need to give specific dates, and most of the time the visa service will contact you and want that passport if they don't see it in the passport that you sent. If the answer is no, then it's no. Other countries or territories you visited in the last 12 months. This is really, really interesting because I had listed the countries that I had been in for the last 12 months, and some of them were flagged. And then, so I got a call from the service department, and they said, we need to have you give us a reason why you were in this country. And if you have any other supporting information like plane tickets or hotels or hostel addresses or whatever, and the reason why you were there. They actually looked at my passport because my passport was older, and they realized that I had gone to other countries that apparently are on a list of potential flag countries. Then I had to also explain those countries. So there's a list that the Chinese government has, and all you have to do is just be as open as possible and give them as much information. After I gave them the information, I never heard anything else, and I was obviously given a 10-year. So let's go into other information. Have you ever stayed? Notice that all of these are no. So you need to read through them. And if any of these you should have answered yes, you need to contact the service. Chances are you don't have infectious pulmonary TB, or you have never overstayed your visa, but mine automatically said no to all of these. So if one of these is yes, you have to contact your service. NA here, again, if there's anything that isn't correct and it's automatically entered NA, make sure you call your service. And then all of this was NA. A declaration, of course, you have to sign and date it in the way that they are asking for. And then if the application form is completed by other people, like someone else, they want their information as well. So this is the application process for anybody who does not live in these states, okay? If you live in these states, then this is your application. And it looks quite different, but looks roughly the same, I would say. There is one difference here, and I'm going to go through it, that you are able to pick your expedited service. The one before, you could just say yes or no, and then you had to contact the company that you were working with. So for me, to my plain eye, it looks exactly the same, and so I'm not exactly sure why, but it is based on your state of residency. Clearly, there is a reason for it, but you just want to fill out the one that is important to you. Once you submit the application, you do, in fact, have to send your passport with the information. I know this really freaks people out, and this is part of the protection of the service. Again, another reason why I would not suggest doing it by myself, unless you live in a city where you could drop it off and pick it up. When you actually have all of your application and you're ready, you start to submit, you pay for their service, and they will give you a printable label that then you will take the information, all of your passport picture, your application, and your passport, and ship it away. That is your guarantee that they now are guaranteeing that if they gets lost in the mail, gets damaged, that they are going to replace it. So yet another reason why I would recommend doing a service. I really hope that this has helped reduce the stress and get you excited about going to China. You are going to love it, and it is going to be the best trip ever. Bye-bye. Happy teaching.